Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Heels Corner. So today we're going to be looking at the August 3rd, 2020 edition of Raw. So let's just jump right into it. So we started off with some lighting issues that would actually play effect in what the whole event looks like. We'll get into that in a little bit. So Apollo Crews is on for the United States Championship with MVP, and he ends up retaining his championship with his finisher, the toss-up powerbomb. Overall, it was an okay match. Bobby Lashley did get involved, but MVP blames the loss on the light situation that was going on, and he puts on a pretty good promo about how he wants a rematch with Apollo Crews at SummerSlam. We then have a backstage segment with the Golden Role Models, and they featured a promo basically about the match that happened last week with Asuka. Shayna Baszler appears and delivers a punch right to Banks' face. We then cut to a little segment between the Iconics and Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is about to go up with the KO show, and the Iconics want in on it, but Kevin Owens assures them that he's already booked. We then lead to the KO show, which actually features Ruby Riott and her former tag team partner Liv Morgan returns, thus unifying the Riott squad. But first, there's an apology that comes from Ruby in a very emotional promo that was well put off in my opinion. She basically apologizes for how she took out all of her frustrations on her, and she was pretty much upset just because when she came back, it seemed like Liv didn't need her. But it ends with the Iconics interrupting, and that leads to a match between the Riott Squad and the Iconics. The match was okay, but it ends with Liv getting the roll-up on Billie Kay, and then Peyton shortly after attacks her, only for Ruby to save her, thus reuniting the Riott Squad. There was then a backstage promo featuring some boxes that have fallen over, and MVP appears upset that Charlie Cruz is covering a story on that rather than what happened in his match, and she then tells him that she actually heard from Apollo that he had accepted his challenge for a United States Championship match at SummerSlam. Shelton Benjamin appears to tell us that his 24/7 championship had been stolen, and that leads to a promo that Drew McIntyre delivers. He talks about Randy Orton sneaking up on him last week on Raw, and he also talks about how he basically worked his ass off for everything all his life, and how Randy Orton has been delivered everything on a silver platter just because his father was Cowboy Bob Orton. So Randy Orton comes out, he interrupts, and he talks about defeating Drew for the WWE Championship, and Drew admits that Orton is literally everything that is wrong with the WWE, and they both put up a pretty good promo, and it's basically hyping up the match that they're going to have at SummerSlam. Then there's the story with Nia Jax and the WWE official Pat Buck. So basically they're in the ring, and the official wants an official apology from Nia Jax, but she refuses to give it to him and then challenges him to a match. And when he says no, she gets very upset and actually starts shoving him, only for him to tell her that she's been indefinitely suspended. So if this means that she's going to be off the air for a while, I have absolutely no problem with that. Then there's the 24/7 triple threat match between R-Truth, Shelton Benjamin, and Akira Tozawa, and it ended up being that R-Truth was the man who had actually stolen Shelton Benjamin's title. The match was pretty good. The ninjas got involved again as always, and the Hurt Business just ends up destroying all of them. But Akira Tozawa ends up winning by hitting a senton on Truth and getting the pin. We then learn for the first time that Raw Underground is being debuted tonight, and that's why Shane McMahon is there. And it looks like this little underground hidden wrestling promotion with girls dancing and anything goes in these matches. It looks really cool, and we're gonna see some matches later on tonight. There's then a backstage promo with Dominic and Charlie Caruso, and all we learn from this is that Dominic wants to challenge Seth Rollins to a match at SummerSlam. So due to Shayna hitting Sasha Banks earlier in the show, there's a match between the two, and it's a pretty good match. Bayley provides a distraction, and there's a trade-off between some submissions, including the Kirifuda clutch and the Banks statement. But it ends with Asuka coming out and attacking Bayley, and for some reason the match was called off for that reason. And Asuka then gets in the ring, only to want a rematch for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Sasha Banks comes out again and tells her that it will happen only if she can defeat her best friend Bayley next week on Raw. There's then a backstage segment that took place right before their match, which is with Andrade, Angel Garza, Zelina Vega, and Demi, a beautiful bachelor girl. And Angel Garza's doing his thing, picking her up, getting her phone number, all that good stuff. And this leads right into the pair of singles matches between Angel Dawkins and Angel Garza and Montez Ford versus Andrade. So what I noticed right off the bat is that Montez Ford was drinking from his cup, and he started making some funny faces, and I'll get into why in a little bit. But the first match was between Angel Dawkins and Angel Garza. So Montez actually ends up collapsing for some reason, and Dawkins gets down to, try and see if he's okay, and that provides a distraction, allowing for Angel Garza to provide two powerful kicks so he could pick up the win. Next up was Montez Ford's turn with Andrade, and at the beginning, Ford is pretty much getting destroyed, but he ends up getting back in the groove of things, reclaiming himself, only for him to collapse again and pass out, so that ends up leading to a no contest. We then cut to a backstage segment with Buddy Murphy and Seth Rollins. So Murphy's viewing on his phone the disgusting thing that he did last week to Aleister Black, and he asks Seth if Dominic's request for a match is ridiculous, but Seth doesn't answer. We then learn why Montez Ford was collapsing in the first place with a backstage segment between Charlie Caruso, Andrade, Angel Garza, Zelina Vega, D'Angelo Dawkins, and Bianca Belair, and it ends up turning out that Montez Ford was poisoned, and when he was drinking out of his cup, he got poisoned and ended up collapsing because of it. So because of that, Bianca Belair attacks Zelina Vega because she believes that she has something to do with it. They then show us some security footage from outside the performance center of some thugs who were throwing Molotov cocktails at a power generator, which explains why the lights were going in and out and the mics were cutting in and out. We then cut to a backstage segment with the Hurt Business and Charlie Caruso, and they talk about how they're being sabotaged with the lights flickering in and out and all that, and they say it's a coincidence that all of this is happening on the same night that Raw Underground has debuted, and then they make their way over to Raw Underground. So in one of the last segments of the night, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy appeared. Seth actually calls out Tom Phillips over at commentary, and he ends up asking him questions about whether or not he's professional, whether or not he's unbiased, if he takes pride in what he does. And then he ends up telling Murphy to go and take him, only for Samoa Joe to stand up for him. And I thought at this point there was going to be like a match between the two, and that would have been amazing. But no, it was just Samoa Joe providing a distraction so that way Dominic can come from behind and attack both of them. And this leads to Seth accepting Dominic's challenge at SummerSlam. So in the last segment of the night, it was actually at Raw Underground, and the Hurt Business comes in and they basically destroy everyone. They have their own little singles match at first, but only for it to end with them going around and just kicking everybody's ass. It was pretty cool. I like the way it ended. So overall, I like this edition of Raw. I think my favorite part was just the Riott Squad finally reuniting, and I think Raw Underground is really cool. I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of what it's going to lead to, why it's happening, and the fact that Shane McMahon is there. So let me know what you guys thought. Let me know what your guys' favorite moments from Raw were. If you guys didn't like it, let me know as well. Anyway, that's going to be it for me, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.